And we're live.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining into the show. Today is Thursday, November 2nd. We want to welcome everybody, and just don't forget that anything we say here today is not financial advice. We are not financial advisors. This is strictly for entertainment and education purposes only. So, boy, how you doing?
Doing good. It's been a chilly week. Haven't been able to get up to too much shenanigans without being uncomfortable, but we'll get used to it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, winter's setting in. Not much we can do about that.
No, it's when the good part of winter comes that I enjoy it. So,
So, what do you think about
ugliness?
What's that?
This in between ugliness isn't too nice.
No, and this is when cold season starts, and that's never fun. So I was going to ask you, what's your take on the week? Anything that stood out to you so far?
It's looking like a lot of retail's waiting for news. In the crypto side of things, but all in all positive. It's looking bullish to me. And on the traditional side of things, on the Fed meeting yesterday, it ended up being a lot softer than people were expecting, and traditional markets are reacting positively to it. So,
yeah, that's a good thing. I was kind of expecting exactly what happened, but I'm glad to see that's the way they went. I know, they say that they got to stop the economy because it's going way too fast. But if you keep raising rates, you're going to do more damage than good come the long run. They just got to let this thing ride out. It's a good thing that they didn't raise them.
Yeah, well, like I said last week, I was expecting the pause, and then now it's just a matter of waiting for that excuse to drop the rates. So whatever black swan that's going to end up being that induces that is coming. And we'll just see what happens from there. But it'll be a good time to be owning assets, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now is a beautiful time to be owning assets. We finally got out of the bear, and things are only going to get better from here. We have an interesting show. We have our spotlight tonight, which I'll be going over the ISO 20022 tokens and what that means. But for right now, I guess I'll do the market watch.
Sorry.
All right, so I'm going to head right to it. First, I'll go to trusty old coin market cap. All right, let's see what we got. All right, I'll start off with the market in general. There's over 2 million cryptos. There's too many to count now. Market cap currently at 1.3 trillion US dollars. We have 24-hour volume at 52.95 billion. Bitcoin dominance still up there, 52.8%. Ethereum is down at 17%. And then, of course, the Fear and Greed Index currently at 72, which is pretty much the same as last week. I guess the market sentiment is pretty high currently. Okay, let's go down to, I'm going to give this a refresh just so we get the proper prices on all of the cryptos. Here we go. Okay, start off with the granddaddy, Bitcoin. Currently at 34,789. Actually, I'm not going to click on specific coins. Coin market cap takes a little while to load. So we got Bitcoin at 34,778. Ethereum sitting currently at 1,795. Scrolling down here, BNB at 230.72. XRP, one of the favorites of the channel, 60 cents currently right now. Solana, my redheaded stepchild, look at that. $40 even currently. That has had quite a rip in the last week.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's been great to see. I've always had a strong belief that Solana was going to do well, and it's proven me right so far. Let's see what else we got. Cardano, ADA at 32 cents. Dogecoin, have to mention Doge simply because of Elon, one of your favorites, 6 cents currently. And then I'll scroll down, Matic, 65 cents. And I got to find your Shiba. There's Shiba. Sitting at 5078. And then I'll mention Avalanche as well. AVAX sitting at $11.81. So that's CoinMarketCap. I'm going to go over. Let's see. Here we go. Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to a new segment. I got a watch list going for some of the ones that aren't necessarily in the top page on CoinMarketCap. So I'll mention them. Hedera Hashbar, HBAR, 5.5 cents currently. Crow, which actually is one of those tokens that was an early on investment for me using Crow and the Crypto.com website. And I've done a lot of staking and stuff over there with that. And it served me well. I'm still holding. And it's up pretty good on the week, as with pretty much everything else. Arbitrum is another one I like to mention. It's a newer layer 2 at 98 cents, almost $1 currently. IMX is at 67 cents, 68 cents. And then Veracity is also another one, VRA. It seems to be popular amongst a lot of people that have been in the space for a while. And it's sitting at 206 right now. And then my one and only artificial intelligence token, I guess we'll call it, ALI. I like mentioning that one every week because many believe that the AI industry or AI segment in crypto is going to do really well this bull market. So we'll have to wait and see. But I like this one. It's got a lot of potential. Right now, it's at 1.5 cents. Now we'll head over to some of our crypto ones. See my new Furio. Still mentioning that because the project just won't die. Although I don't really know how many people are completely active in that project anymore. But right now it's sitting at 2.2 cents. Elephant Money is a project in the DeFi space that's been doing well. And it's still holding really strong. Right now it's currently at 60438. Tonic as the ticker, 601554. That's one that you and I both like. We're invested in and we have to stake. And then I'll just skip over Drip just because there's really nothing going on in that ecosystem. And then I'll skip down to Momentum, which is sitting at 75 cents currently, the mining farm sister to Alpha Shares project. Let's see what we got here. Okay, now real quick, I'm just going to go over here to my Bitcoin chart. I'm not going to pretend that I know what Bitcoin is going to do, but I have been following it for quite a while now. Obviously, I've been charting different support and resistance lines and trend lines. And right down here in the bottom, that's where we had the 15,500, depending on which
you're on the wrong screen.
Oh,
Crazy.
Sorry.
You don't have that screen up. There we go.
There we go. My bad. Okay, so the Bitcoin chart, as I was saying, support and resistance lines, and then trend lines as well. So anyway, like I was saying, down here in the bear, the bottom of the bear, where we're at the 15,500 or 16,000, depending on which exchange you're on. But as you can see, we've been making higher highs and higher lows ever since that bottom. So this is why I believe that we've been in a bull trend ever since the bottom hit, which makes sense when we're talking about a bear market. But as long as we don't break structure, which we almost did here, but we didn't close below it, so we still made another higher low. And currently, we're hitting resistance at this top line right there. So that is my analysis for Bitcoin right now, and that's Market Watch for this week.
Well, actually, I'm going to add to Market Watch a little bit with some traditional markets. Not that there's a lot going on. So right now up on the screen, we got QQQ, which is an ETF that directly invested in the S&P. So this is given the S&P 500 for the week on the hourly here. You could see since Thursday, we had a bit of a rebound and we're remaining in a downward channel here, which I do believe we're likely to break out of in the near future. And then what I've got here is just the big boys in the S&P. So Microsoft, the reason I'm thinking the S&P in whole, Microsoft here is broken out of the channel and has been going strong since the Fed meeting. I believe everything's up approximately 3.5%, with Microsoft being the lowest out of what I'm going to say here.
And for the traditional stock, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Amazon as well. They're almost all mimicking, like as I talked about last week, these top 8 companies are taking up 27% of the S&P. So that they are pretty much setting the pace for the top 500 tech. So Amazon, yeah, you got to break out from the downward trend here. NVIDIA, which is a company that I expect some huge things from in the future with AI and chips, is doing right now. It's actually coiling a little bit on the downward trend. So the move out of the next move should be pretty exciting with NVIDIA. Apple on par with everything else. Tesla lagging a little bit behind, but all in all pretty strong, and it's got the wrong way here. Yeah, and it's up almost 3.5% on the week as well. Google, yes, everything in the traditional side for the big boys is, and Meta, they're pretty much all mirroring each other right now. So nothing exciting, but once there's a breakout, I can see some big gains coming. So
Nice.
now we'll take this down and go to headlines section here. Back up.
Awesome. Thanks for that report. Yeah, I definitely something we should be doing every week. I'll do the crypto market watch. Is how that's kind of our strengths. But yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this week on Market Watch, one of the most amazing things that happened this week was the Safemoon incident. So I'm just gonna bring it right up on Market Guru right here. Hold on a sec. For those that haven't been following Safemoon, I'm sure everybody remembers Safemoon from in actually the beginning of the bull market last year. A lot of people got into it, and it was doing well for a while. Then, like everything else, either the owners, I don't know, lose interest, or in this case, coming from the top, so to speak. So we'll go through this real quick. Let's see. Headline. It says everything right there. Safemoon executive team charged with multiple fraud counts, arrests made. We'll come down there with the article. United States Securities and Exchange Commission announced November 1st that it was charging Safemoon and 3 of its executives with fraud and unregistered security sales in connection with the Safemoon token. The Justice Department unsealed charges against the men at the same time. According to SEC allegations, Safemoon creator Kyle Nagy and CEO John Corani, and Chief Technological Officer Thomas Smith withdrew assets worth $200 million from the project and misappropriated investor funds. We're hearing about that happening way too often lately.
Yeah, it's scary, and that's one of the places that regulation would be welcome, where you're quarterly getting your audit done and making sure nothing fishy is going on within the companies.
Exactly. Let's see, we got Justice Department is charging the men with conspiracy to commit securities fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and money laundering conspiracy. I mean, these guys are in some pretty deep trouble. I'm sure we'll go over this a little bit later on the roundtable, but they have been arrested, according to the department, while Nagy remains at large. SEC claimed marketing for Safemoon promised funds would be locked in the liquidity pool and not accessible to anyone, even the defendants, while in reality, much of the pool is not locked. They were free to use the money, and someone comes to mind when you read that. Stan Baker didn't he do pretty much exactly the same thing? So that's
pretty much.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but
it's funny because Safemoon was one of those projects that when it was in its prime, I was upset that I kind of missed the bag on it, and then everything happened, and it's just, whew, sigh of relief. I'm not really missing out on much at all. So.
Yeah, exactly. I do have one more here that I want to go over, which I thought was rather interesting, because one of the companies that you hear that they're getting involved, and then you hear their permissions are taken away, and it's kind of an up and down battle with them, is PayPal. And they've recently scored. Now, I'm sure, Glenn, you know what's been going on over in the UK, and a lot of people know what's been going on over there. That you're hearing one day they're regulating, next day they're not allowing people to buy on exchanges. And the UK is having a really tough time over there with their regulation, but apparently they're working forward. They are getting regulation produced. But this is good news that the PayPal scores in the UK. So global payment giant PayPal has received approval from the Financial Conduct Authority, the FCA, to offer crypto services in the United Kingdom, which is amazing for them. According to the official, PayPal has been registered to offer certain crypto asset activity, in the UK. And it wasn't that long ago, actually, that they were limited to the Bitcoin that they could purchase on the platform, but now that's and now they'll be able to actually offer it, which I thought was pretty cool. Because PayPal, I don't know how much it's used by people around the world when it comes to crypto. I know it's used a lot on online payments and stuff like that. But I think if they want to continue with their success and be a giant in the payments space, they're going to need to have this kind of options and be regulated, which is good to see. In the UK first, I mean, it'll eventually come here with regulation as it goes across the board.
Yeah, the adoption is going to be forced in that sector. I do feel for the people in UK that are investors in crypto with the constant flip-flopping back and forth by the government. But eventually, everything gets washed out and things are as they are. And if the rest of the world's going towards adoption, they'll be doing the same. It's just no one wants to drop the ball first and actually regulate. Because then everybody else has to follow, and if it doesn't work, it's bad news.
Just one last headline before we move on here is a Swiss bank. I'm not even sure if I can pronounce this. We'll say Cantonal Bank in Switzerland is to offer Bitcoin and Ethereum custody services. So a little bit of positive movement over in Switzerland.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lots of bank custody news hovering around our topic for our spotlight for today with the ISO 222, which is showing that there is something to it. And I guess speaking on that, do you want to start our spotlight?
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll let the listeners know and the viewers know that I've been hearing about the ISO 20022 for a long time, and yes, it is pronounced 20022, not 222. For those that care, I've been wondering what it was for a while, and I've known that it had a lot to do with payments and stuff like that. And by the cryptos that were involved in it, XRP, XLM, HBAR, name a few. I'll name the rest in a minute. I knew that there had to be something to it because I know a lot of people don't like XLM and XRP because of their centralized nature, even though they're not exactly centralized, but they bridge the gap between the centralized and decentralized financial system. So I looked into it, and for those that don't know, ISO, it's also a standard you find in a lot of manufacturing and other types of businesses across the globe. It's kind of a standard. It's not a regulation or anything like that set by governments, but it is a standard that customers and companies like to set to keep everything, in the up and up. And it stands for International Organization for Standardization. For those that don't know, it's a payment and messaging. The 20022 is payment and messaging compliance to the ISO standard. It's basically going to be like an update or a better version of the Swift system that's currently being used. And now it's not compliant at the protocol or blockchain level, but rather individually at the application level for cross-border payments within the traditional banking sector. So it's something that is rooted at the core. Now, what I also found out is that a lot of people don't realize that, like I said before, it's the bridge between centralized and decentralized. But at the end of the day, the traditional banking sector isn't going anywhere, so it makes sense to have crypto assets available for use when making transactions within the traditional banking system. They also open the door for the use of CBDCs. Now, I know a lot of people don't like CBDCs and think that they're the worst evil possible, but they can actually do some good depending on how they're used. Now, any institutions or banks that want to get into the ISO 20022, they actually need to they need to do it. They need to get into it and be adopted by 2025. Now, Morgan Stanley, one of the largest banks in the U.S., is actually endorsing this. They think it's going to be good for the entire financial system because crypto's here to stay. Everybody knows that the traditional financial system is broken. So you can't turn everything or move everything over to the decentralized side of things, crypto. But they have to somehow come together and work together. And Morgan Stanley realizes this. And so he's recommending that any institutions that do want to get into ISO 20022, that they do it sooner than 2025, because basically they're saying that anybody that does not get involved and does not comply, they're going to be left behind, and chances are they won't survive because this is the future of finance. And I completely agree with them. Now, a list of the cryptocurrencies that are part of 20022 currently are Stellar XLM, Hedera Hashgraph HBAR, IOTA, XDC Network, Ripple, of course, XRP, Algorand, Algo, Quant, and Casp. And newly added, actually, not too long ago, was XVG, Verge, and Cardano, ADA. Now, for those that don't know, the reason these tokens are part of this, like their specialty, are some of them, like XLM, for example, peer-to-peer payments. HBAR is fast transaction speeds and the tokenization of pretty much anything. HBAR is really good for that. IOTA is micro payments, so anything lower than like in a few dollars, nothing really, really too high. And machine-to-machine payments, when you're tapping or anything like that. So that IOTA is going to be used a lot. Of course, Ripple, cross-border payments, institutions, and peer-to-peer payments. Algorand, gaming, NFTs, music, real estate, news sharing. Algorand has got their toes in everything. They're going to be really important when it comes to the ISO. And then Quant is kind of that one that it's the glue that holds everything together. Their blockchain and everything about Quant is strong. It's going to make the whole system work properly. Now, for those that don't this isn't financial advice, but we always say that we can give our recommendations. And for anyone that isn't sure exactly what to focus their attention on come the next bull market, it's probably a good idea to keep an eye on that basket of tokens, because as the ISO 20022 becomes adopted, the need for those tokens is going to increase tenfold, and whenever that happens, obviously price follows. So those would be good ones to keep an eye on for sure.
Yeah, and then to kind of simplify things and compare it to like throughout the 90s into the 2000s, where you had that big ISO push in manufacturing. It's going to end up being an international standard, so a minimum quality standard for doing international trade, the same as it was with manufacturing. So if anybody wants to get into cross-border payments or anything along those lines, that's exactly what they're going to need for another country to trust their service to do business. So, yeah. And as for how big of a sector do you think this is going to be? I think that this will end up being its own little pot aside from everything else. I don't know what you think, Crazy.
Well, I agree. Like I said, a lot of people don't like a lot of these tokens simply because of the centralized nature of them. But at the end of the day, you can't ignore the fact that some type of central financial system is necessary, but we want the decentralized side of it integrated as well. And this is the way it's going to happen. They're going to have the freedom, to a point of being part of the cryptocurrency market, but at the same time, the open, broad acceptance of the traditional side. So them all mashed together. I mean, if done properly and not regulated to death, and the banks don't take complete advantage of it, which I guess they can't because it's all blockchain technology, I think it's going to work really well.
Yeah, I think blockchain itself, for the markets to get where crypto investors want them to get, they need to be integrated in the traditional side of things as well, whether it's banking or through smart contracts, whatever. It's going to have its place, and if you want your privacy and your own little bag on the side, you'll have those options as well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. We have a few people waiting in the wings that I'm sure they have an opinion on this. And actually, I wouldn't mind. Is there anything else you wanted to cover before we bring on some roundtable?
I don't know. Me and you we're both really bullish when it comes to XRP, but I do see a lot of information, especially on TikTok, making some calls for some outrageous numbers, which I can't wrap my head around. So just say full adoption. Where does crazy think that XRP can go? And then I'll follow up with what I think, and then really piss off the XRP army.
Now, are we talking this bull market peak, or are you talking 5-10 years down the road?
5-10 years down the road. Where could you see this going?
Well, I can see it. I can see most of the XRP tokens landing in the hands of the financial institution. It's going to be used a lot for cross-border payments, obviously, and in the traditional finance, but on the decentralized side. But as for price, I think as of right now, I mean, anything could happen. Technology changes so quickly. 3-4 years down the road from now, something else could come out and be much better technologically, and the banks adopt it. Anything can happen. So if we're talking, we'll say 10 years down the road, oh man, it's either going to be one of two things. XRP will be something completely different, something we don't even recognize right now, and it won't be an asset that is held by, by you and I. It's going to be something that's going to be held by the institutions, or it could completely blow up. Those who do not get rid of what they own right now, because of its value and its use case, Lambos all around. But if you're talking the next bull market, I think it's going to do really well. We all know that the price suppression has been happening since the SEC took the court. They are still in battles over a few small, legal things that are outstanding. But I do believe the institutions and retail as well. But it's going to pump that price, and it's going to have a really good bull market. My prediction. I don't like giving price predictions, but I'm going to say easily $5 per XRP, easily.
Okay. You're way lower than what I was going to say. Then I thought I was going to be the one coming across as the bearish one. Yeah.
No, I'm just being realistic. What do you think?
Yeah. So I was looking at Swift, and then my thoughts are XRP is going to be internally incorporated in the Swift system. Swift system's not going anywhere, but they're going to run off Ripple software, and then they'll transfer currency into XRP, do their transfer, and then into whatever currency it's going into. And then, so you got Swift doing 5 trillion a day in transactions, and what's the circulating supply of XRP? Like 54 billion?
Approximately, yeah.
Around that? Yeah, so you kind of divide that up, and on the most bullish, say it was based on a daily transaction, you're looking at what, $90? as the very peak, but then you factor in transaction speeds and how much XRP is actually going to be needed at a time, how much comes out of escrow, how many people hold on to it. Yeah, I think the long-term, very peak, we're looking at $50 range, and it's going to turn into pretty much a stable coin at that $50 range, where it would be a good hedge to just hold money at that point if you're just trying to preserve what you got, like in a bear market or something else. But
no 589.
What? No
589.
Yeah, no, and no 35,000 either. Like, some of the predictions is just unreal, and you think what the market cap would be on that, with it already being such a high value.
Yeah. No, you actually peaked it out higher than I thought.
I thought I was going to be.
I was thinking maybe $25-ish, but you're saying 50. That'd be nice. It can get better. Way better.
Yeah. Okay. I guess I'm the bullish one. You want to pull these guys on and let them laugh at me? And
yeah, actually, that's we have Chart Davidson and Juan Gonzalez ready to come up.
We did have Ashla, but I'm not sure where he went. He was knocking on the message doors, and he might have had something come up and had to go. So,
if he returns, he can come back up. Let's bring up Chart and Juan, and actually, hopefully, Chart is in the mood to give us a little bit of his opinions on the current market. I love hearing what he has to say. Welcome, gentlemen.
Welcome.
Hey, good evening.
How you doing, Juan?
Hey guys, thanks for having me. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. Excellent.
I'm good.
That's good. I heard your XRP price action analysis. I don't know if I want to laugh a little bit or not. Well, did you see $519 per coin?
No. I said 50.
Okay. Well, even that is pretty crazy to be.
I'm talking like the max it'll ever be.
Like in year 2100?
Well, I'll say 10 years down the road, but hey, we can say that. Hopefully it's before.
I mean, of course, like we can talk like centuries from now, things will be much higher, but
I'm talking like a full Swift adoption scenario.
I mean, you know what happens with anything, that the more liquidity you get from something, the more stable it becomes, right? Yes. So like the more liquidity is infused into XRP, actually it becomes more stable in price fluctuations. So technically speaking, the more it's adopted, the more it's going to sit at a certain level for a very long time, unless like big market conditions kind of move it one way or the other, which I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But we used to laugh at XRP a long time ago about its possible utility and scalability and all this other stuff. And now we can't even laugh at it anymore. I mean, the tech is real. I know I talked in today's space how I actually use XRP, and it settles so fast. And I love the fact that, from exchange to exchange, for example, we're talking minutes, not like maybe a minute, maybe a minute and a half, which is usually unheard of. So,
yeah,
in terms of tech alone, it's really, really good. But for its purposes of like trading into the bull run and to the next bull run, I know Crypto Crazy's talked about it, and I think he's right. About a $5.50 is where I kind of see it. You can't be overly bullish. You got to be optimistic and objective when you're looking at these price actions.
Full horn, buddy. Full horn.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think that's a realistic expectation, even considering the price suppression that it's had. But I think that's probably where it's going to be. But we'll see.
What does Juan think?
Well, to be honest, I was just thinking about it earlier, how, being adopted plays such a huge role. But like with anything, if you can't control the adoption rate, if you can't control the price action on your end, then you can adopt it, right? Like, why don't we have hydrogen fuel cars? Why don't we have, marijuana for free or available to be able to smoke anytime? Because it's all about what can we control. Does the bank want to say, hey, we don't want to charge you $30 anymore for a wire transfer? Let's make it 10 because now we use Ripple. It's faster, it's cheaper. No, they want to control that high-end price point. And I think that's one of the challenges with being adopted. And if they can get to a place where they actually want to help the economy move, they want to help people, especially in financially challenged places that can't go to a bank, don't have access to a bank, and they can say, hey, I can transfer you this, and it'll cost me 5 cents, 10 cents, whatever it costs, right? That's not $30. I think that's what the biggest challenge is right now. And I think that in the crypto space in its totality, it's the same thing. I think a lot of innovation comes from this place, but no one wants to take the chance to adopt it because it's going to hurt the bottom line.
Do you think that what you were talking about with the peer-to-peer will end up being more of a Stellar XLM area, or do you think XRP will be adopted into that?
If you want to be honest, I think that people will always find a way, and whatever's cheaper, that's what they're going to go with. People are very savvy, and if I had a cousin in the Dominican Republic that says, "Hey, can you send me cash?" and it's only cost me $1, versus going a legit way and go through XRP and it's going to cost me 15 or 20, we're probably going to go the cheaper route. It's just, that's what it, unfortunately, decentralization affords us the ability to do this. And no institution wants to join this. I think XRP is in a unique position because it can negotiate between the both systems, and it should be a pioneer in this space. And I'm hoping that it doesn't get bought into the whole let's be centralized, let's do the status quo because now we're with the big dogs, versus saying I'm the big dog in this space. I'm going to control how we're going to move decentralized finance into decentralized finance systems. Hope that makes sense a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great perspective.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
What? Sorry, go ahead, Glenn.
Oh, so that's what we're here for, getting the different perspectives so people can make up their own minds. And like I was actually really shocked that I'm the most bullish.
Well, you've been saying to me for a long time that you totally expect XRP to become stable. I'm still not down with that. I don't think that's the route it's going to go, but I'm a little bit more conservative on my.
Well, I think for what they want to use it for, they would need that stability. They couldn't have the volatility in there whether it's a 2-second transaction time or 2-minute transaction time where there's going to be a variance in that transaction. So they'll want it as stable as possible, is my view on that.
Well, we'll see how it plays out because, like Juan alluded to, cost is a big factor. Obviously, speed as well. And from the research done, it seems that XLM is leaning more toward the smaller micropayments, peer-to-peer, whereas XRP is going to be more larger scale, cross-border institutions, that kind of thing.
Yeah, retail coin versus banker coin.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll see. Jared, did you? I know we've had quite the exciting couple of days when it comes to Bitcoin. But earlier today, I was listening to your spaces on Twitter, which I love to watch every day, 12 noon Eastern, in case anybody is free to listen on Twitter every Thursday. What's your take on Bitcoin, and where do you think it's going from here, short term?
Like I mentioned today, like we had some fuckery while we were actually having the space. It was going to break out to a 35 level, reach like 36,000. And then immediately dumped. So it's kind of like, all right, so what next, right? We're watching the dominance chart for the stablecoin USDT to determine whether or not there's going to be a swap into stables any moment from now. I think, personally, I think there's a long way to go for stables to actually go back up in terms of the percentage of dominance of the crypto total cap. But having said that, it was kind of going towards like a 7% level while we're having the space, which obviously resulted in a market-wide dump. But when it comes to like Bitcoin itself, I mean, like I said, there's many catalysts on the way. You know, we have the ETF filings, multiple ETF filings that are going to have like a cascading effect for Bitcoin, then Bitcoin's price action and demand. Then you have the Bitcoin halving event, which, you know, every single week it approaches closer and closer. It has never been priced in yet. So there's going to be a run up for that. And then we have the potential looming December and January months were normally really bad for all markets. You know, I think Terry on our space talked about how a lot of people actually farm taxes for their losses. So a lot of people do that in the month of December. So expect a lot of red weeks in December and January. So I think most of the price action that's going to be positive is going to happen now between, I guess, the first week of November and maybe the last week of November. And then we can basically start talking about, you know, where is this dominance chart in the USDT on the actual chart. I think we could probably see some support around I think in the 6 to 5% range. Like I'm looking at it right now, it's sitting at 6.72. I would like to see it back down to like 5.8, and then we can talk about, you know, conversion to stables at that point. And then we can have like a little bump in December and January. And then I think the alt season should start out from then. You know, once we break this 3-year EMA on the daily chart that's sitting at 5.79. And then, you know, we have this regression all the way down to, I don't know, say about 3.9, 3.8% dominance. And then we can go ahead and have our alt season and bull run. So there's a little bit of way to go. I think it coincides with, you know, having the bull run end in about 6 to 8 months from now, maybe 9 months from now, tail end of 2024. And it might actually coincide with the stock market crashing as well, because I don't know what's going to happen. Like we still have the potential of that looming over our heads, because you know, there's a potential of a double top in the stock market. Like the Dow Jones is looking at a nice double top. If that happens, we can definitely see a price reduction of like 10% or more stock market wide. That's a lot. And that's not crypto, right? Crypto goes down by 20, 30% on a daily basis. Traditional markets do not go down, but more than 5%, right? You know, we're talking about 10%, maybe 15%. That's death for some people. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of ups and downs between now and then Bitcoin halving event. But I think we're okay. As long as we know like what to expect, we should be okay.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for that update. I was actually going to ask you about the USDT, how it changed since your stream this afternoon. It's good to know it hasn't really gone up too much. Good to keep an eye on that. And I had an argument right after your stream with a coworker, and he tried to argue with me. He said, no, we're still going to get that one last, you know, shakeout dip. And he said every time it happens early in the year, and I had to remind him actually, because listening to your stream, it reminded me that taxation season. A lot of people are taking profits, and they use that to offset their taxes. So that's a good point that you brought that up. Appreciate it. Ashton Dragon, welcome to the stream. How are you, my friend?
Hey, yo. I'm doing well, Top G. How are you? Big drip. Well. Boy, the dip. It should say, boy, the drip with that beautiful fade and that beautiful heaven. We got Chart Davidson in this bitch. Chart, what the fuck is up?
How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. We got Juan here. We got Black Cat spectating. It's all good to be here, guys. So, really, if I had to pose one question, I'd ask what everyone's thoughts on the war with Palestine and Israel. How do you think it's going to affect the crypto market, if at all?
Not really sure, but one thing I definitely want to do, or at least what I'm going to try to do, is be non-political. I hate talking about that. You get too many opinions, too many.
Well, I couldn't be caught dead talking about the war itself. I'm caring about what it does to the market, because war is never good.
No, war is never good. But one of the bad things about war is it generates profit. I mean, I shouldn't say profit. It's a money generator. It increases economic.
If you can't make money in war, you flat the fuck out cannot make money.
Yeah.
No, I think it's going to be the factor that turns on the money printer again and lowers rates. It's going to be that black swan that gives the excuse to do some easing in the markets.
On one part, we want to see lower interest rates, but on another, what good is that when 5 years from tomorrow, inflation's going to fucking quadruple overnight?
It's only good for asset holders.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's true, but at the end of the day, the dollar or Canadian pound or whatever the hell currency your respective countries may use, where do we win in the fact that $1, American or Canadian, is going to be worth less in 5 years than it is today? No matter what we do, even if the population were to cut in half, the money would still be inflated, would it not?
Yep.
Yes.
And I believe that's one of the big excuses right now with open border policies is to dilute the money supply with population. So that's what's causing a higher inflation at this where we are right now with the amount of money that's been printed. I believe that just diluting that money supply itself has had a big part in keeping inflation numbers fairly low in consideration to the amount that's been printed.
Right. The reason shit inflates in the first place is just because at the end of the day, if there's only $1 million in circulation and there's a population of 500,000 people, we can't have a world where every person only has $2. So that's why more money has to be made. But on the contrary, though, every other week, the Federal Reserve destroys millions of unfit bills, which are basically just surplus bills that are outdated because they don't want to overflow the country with cash. But one would think if you want to do that, why not just move the money on chain? Or do I want any one of 20 other things that are destroying money? It's complicated. Juan, looking up at all, what are your thoughts?
Well, when you kind of look at how inflation works, why we print money, the things that the government spends the money on, all that plays a huge role. Like what we do as a people, not the government, but as a people, doesn't impact inflation as much as you guys think. I think it's, hey, we have $46 billion worth of tanks just sitting in the desert. I think that plays a bigger role where that money could have been spent elsewhere and been controlled more. I think that's one of the reasons that we get stuck on not accepting the things that like Bidenomics that everybody kind of hates right now. But when the report comes out and how well the market is doing, let's pump up the markets. Let's make sure that that's reflected in the stock exchange. But then a war breaks out, and all of a sudden, hey, let's use that as an excuse to short or sell. And at the end of the day, how we navigate as a government and as a country and how we discuss these issues is probably going to be more important moving forward than anybody's, I guess, political view on money. You can dilute money only so far, but we're always going to continue to print more than what we need because we're going to continue to just dump money in places that maybe we shouldn't. And until we kind of have an honest conversation, like how you guys probably do at home with your wife and say, hey, why the heck do we spend $10,000 on a chair? That's not going to change. And we're just too busy having two sides of two parties just discussing why the sky is orange and the other one saying why, purple versus different shades of blue. The conversation is just too far apart. And until we get there, we're going to continue to have this money dilution issue.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's gotten out of control, and something definitely has to be done. Ashley, you actually missed. I'm not sure if you missed. Maybe you did hear it on the spotlight. I was talking about the ISO 20022 tokens and the future plans and how that's going to look. I don't know if you have any opinions on that. Are you up to date?
No, I missed it. Brief me as if I'm 5 years old.
Okay, well, you can just re-listen to the stream if you have to. But okay. That's something that if that comes to fruition and it is adopted, I don't think it will all but eliminate inflation, but it will certainly change the landscape.
And that would be damn beneficial. But just in from Watcher Guru, Bankman-Fried got convicted on all charges. Not surprised, but that's the news that came in.
He was convicted.
Yep, Bankman-Fried was.
Did his girlfriend walk?
It doesn't say. All it said, Watcher Guru said, breaking Sam Bankman-Fried found guilty on all charges. Not a surprise, but still news all the same.
Well, thanks for that update.
I'm wondering how much time he'll actually do. Or does he have enough people in his pocket to say, hey, this is not going to happen?
At least 5 years. What he did is so goddamn egregious that no matter how connected the man is, they have to make an example of some sort. If they let a man walk...
But it's going to be a slap on the wrist versus if I would have done it. That's for sure.
Oh, well, that's for damn sure.
My take on it. I'm not really a conspiracy theorist. Well, okay, I am, but not today or not right now. This is just going to be an opinion. That guy has so much dirt and information on some very powerful people. There was no way he was going to get away scot-free because of what he did. The public outcry, it would have been too great. I mean, he has to take a little bit of guilt and punishment for that. I don't think he's going to do a lot of time. Like I said, he's got so many people that he could completely fuck over that I think he's going to do some time, but he's going to weasel his way out of part-time.
I don't know what they'll do. Right, yeah, not just what you said, but they'll move his ass to a luxury prison. Like all these celebrities, like Elizabeth Holmes or whatever the fuck that bitch's name is from, what the hell was that blood company called? Whatever the hell it was called. She got sentenced to 9 years in prison. Theranos, that woman. She got sentenced to 9 years, but she was moved to a luxury prison. If you look at it, those prisons are nicer than half the houses in the country. And that's where they'll get moved. They'll probably serve a 2 to 3 year stint in there, and then just be put on house arrest or let free like 6ix9ine was or some shit for any one of 20 reasons.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It'll end up being a house arrest situation just because so many politicians have accepted money from him and nobody's volunteered to give it back to get back to their...
Not just that. They may just straight the fuck up Witsec his ass. As in, like, basically under the cover of darkness, put a double in there, make it look like he got killed, and the real Bankman-Fried is Witsec, move to Indonesia or Jakarta or Ethiopia or God Almighty knows where to live out his real life in peace.
I honestly believe
he's got to share a room with Epstein.
Epstein's gone. He was.
I believe this man knows way more than anyone realizes.
He
collapse current federal government, in my opinion. I think he could.
Well, that's true. But here's the thing: Belfort didn't have nearly as much dirt as Fried, and he got out after 3 years.
Yeah. Chart, you're back. I actually wanted to ask you: do you have an opinion on the whole Sam Bankman-Fried thing? Do you think he'll serve some hard time, or do you think he's going to get off on it with an easy sentence?
I honestly think that's an inside job. I think Sam was like the guy they trusted in and trying to bring crypto down or to put in heavy regulations into crypto, right? Like this just seems like how careless can you be with people's money if you're trying to run a business? Like there's no way this guy was competent enough to run a business, allowed to run a business like this, right? No. Like you'd think like his investors said, okay, this makes sense. Like let's fuck around with people's money. Let's get all the scrutiny under our belt. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. No. So do I think he's going to face some time? Absolutely not. He might get like 5 years of probation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, like house arrest or something like that. At the end of the day, it's a white collar crime, right? So they're gonna probably make him do something so silly, like 5 years, like you said, house arrest, maybe some community time, and that's it. Like nothing more than that.
Like I had mentioned when you lost your connection there, I said that he's probably got enough information. He could bring a lot of people down. So I don't think they really want to piss him off too much. I mean, he had to take some responsibility and a bit of a punishment, but that man knows a lot more than I think what people realize.
And while that may very well be the whole 9 yards of truth, in that case, why not just no? Because if they assassinate him, it'll pose like Epstein questions, and they barely got away with that, so they don't want to start taking chances.
No, he'll get a slap on the wrist, and it'll all blow over. People will forget. At least that's the thing.
Hey,
I wish I had court drawing available.
Wish you had what?
That court drawing I sent you available, where make him look like a model in the artist rendering.
Did anyone see that? Did anyone see that? The sketch artist, the picture of Sam Bankman-Fried did from the court case. It looks like a completely different person, like a model, nice hair, when in fact the guy's a tubby little turd with SpongeBob hair. But
it reminds me of an NFT, like the definition of an NFT, everything behind an NFT, it looks good, but what is it, So,
I never. If he looked like that in that courtroom, then I am Emperor of Rome, and I got to go to Italy to assume my throne. The fuck?
Hey, he definitely had some fans there. That's all I gotta say. He had some fans.
Perhaps. Really,
it's funny, man, when thinking about what Chart said when it came to maybe there was a setup, right, where let's use this company to kind of bring down crypto, and then XRP judgment comes in and kind of just puts the kibosh on the whole thing. It was like the perfect storm had XRP gone the other way. And I think that the XRP judgment kind of set a new precedent for probably no regulation at this point. And this is why I'm wondering, with the whole Safemoon situation, a lot of those indictments are based off of the security situation.
Yeah.
But what impact now is it going to have? Can these lawyers for Safemoon be able to say, hey, but we're not securities. Here's the precedent set, at least for the securities portions of the indictment, right? I mean, I think that if fraud happened, if there's any, trade washing, I mean, I think he's screwed anyway, right? Yeah. But the whole securities part, I think this is what they're really kind of trying to grab onto, right? Because they need a win in the space. And I think that's why they're really trying to tie down this whole securities piece to a crypto token so they can say XYZ. It needs regulation. What do you guys think?
Because of the Ripple win, I don't think they can ride their head on that one, on the securities part anyway.
I mean, at the end of the day, all institutions and governments hate crypto for one reason. They can't control it. And what they can't control...
And they can't earn from it.
Well, that's also true. The thing is,
they can't generate a revenue
because they're so used to taxation, which is basically a legalized form of theft. Does taxation benefit to some degrees? No shit, yes. Let's not be stupid. Taxes do help in some ways. But the problem is taxation is so excessively abused. And because think, if I work a job, I get taxed my paycheck, right? But if I go buy a Red Bull or a bottle of vodka from a convenience store, I will pay sales tax. So I have been taxed on the money that I was already taxed on in my paycheck. Is that not naked theft?
Yes, it does, Ashley. And until you've lived in Ontario, you do not know what taxation is.
Oh no, I feel so sorry for your people. How's the carbon tax?
Listen, for context, give you context. In Ontario, you get basically taxed at a 50% rate. So you get taxed at 35% for earning the money, and another 15% for spending the money. So you're at a tax at 50% on anything you earn. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, and then if you include the carbon tax on energy, I think it pushes it up to almost 70% taxation rate.
And here's the thing. Like, if y'all didn't have families and memories back in Canada, I would smuggle you down to the States for a better life.
When you get smuggled, I'll just drive down.
When it comes to taxes, man, there's like two things that drive me crazy. A is if I'm investing in something and I'm taking 100% of the risk because the government ain't saying, okay, I'm going to give you a 15% break because you lost 100% of your money. Here's a 15% refund. They're not. I'm taking the risk, but then you still want 30% cut on what I just made. That is just ludicrous, right? That doesn't make sense. The second thing that drives me crazy, right? If you're gonna tax me on my wins, then return me money on my losses.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, not 3K, not 3,000.
Crazy. Your mic's cut out crazy. It's not working.
The second piece that drives me crazy is the whole how a 1%, the 1% can pay less in taxes overall than the common man. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
Now,
it does when you
can-
realize they're leveraging assets and using loans instead of actually spending cash, right?
Yeah,
but listen, I understand the loopholes to it all. I
Yeah.
just imagine being a maid for someone, and your taxes are higher than the person who hired you.
right.
I mean, that just breaks my
Where-
heart, man.
Oh, and
Yeah,
that
where my-
absolutely matters.
Oh, sorry. Where my gears get ground with all this is you got taxation, which is fine. When you it funds your government, provides the services that you need, the roads, the schooling, the medical in Canada, everything else, which are all good things. Where it really starts to grind my gears is why are we being taxed if you can print money with the Bank of Canada or US to fund government operations? Why am I paying taxes?
No, that adds up. If they print money, are they not creating the very inflation they want to stop?
Yeah, if you can print it, you shouldn't tax it.
Right, but if they print money, are they not creating inflation? Because think, if there are $1 billion of any country's unit in circulation, well, why not just tax? I would rather, if I was a government official, I would advise taxing it because hell, we can make 15% what we already have in force, rather and have the worth be the same, rather than double the amount of dollars and have the worth cut in half. I don't like taxation; it adds up.
Taxation contributes to inflation equally.
How
You were
so?
to cut your cuts. If you were to cut taxes tomorrow, the price of goods and services would drop substantially because everybody needs to cover those costs to run a business.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Well, you're hoping, right? You're hoping that by cutting taxes on businesses, that it'll trickle down to people. And in my experience, and being in a field where I've seen how they operate at the top, they don't really trickle down money down to the common person. They just find a way to add it to their bottom line.
That's why when you
look
get
at the payroll tax,
come down.
right? There was a payroll tax cut. I didn't see employees get a pay raise out of it. You know, there was some lax. There was some more, lax rules, but there wasn't no benefit to the common employee. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to how we tax. When I mentioned this earlier, the discussion has to be a little bit more transparent. How we tax, where are we spending the money, and how does it benefit the people? Like if we had scientists instead of politicians in Congress, imagine the scenario that people actually had to bring data forward to an argument, and then a counter argument with different sets of data sets, and have a real conversation. Would the country would we be in the situation we would be in today?
It sounds
Probably
like
not.
paradise.
I don't want to say paradise, but I'm pretty sure the discussion would be more detailed, right? Would be more transparent, where you can actually look at the data, right? There's no right. At least what I'm hoping for is that the decisions are made. At least were discussed. That they're talking about the same topic. That we were trying to address and gain the same goal. Maybe there's different ways to reach the goal, but we're at the point where this is where we want to be, which is the best way to get there. And I think that's where I want to get to.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that starts with term limits on politicians.
Oh yeah, that's for goddamn sure. Because because here's the thing. This morning I was auditing because I had to, for our project, Juan knows about it. I had to audit my statements to make sure that everything was ready because I was going to buy a business Mongol TCT account for my project, which I'll go into later. But anyways, I found $6,017 were charged from my account unauthorized, as in I didn't know where these came from. These charges happened in July and April. I didn't know about either of the two. One for $3,000 and one for $3,017 from, and I quote, debit repayment. I couldn't tell you who they were, so I spent half the bloody day, my whole morning damn near, on the phone with the bank, frantically making a fraud claim, getting my money back. But which, thank God, I did get my money back. The credit was given to me, thank God almighty. I got my money back. But the point is, even though I got my money back, I have to be taxed twofold. Number one, on the money I got back and on the money that I spent out. I mean, granted, I can write off the initial withdrawal because, I got refunded and I got scammed, but point made. Taxation is complete bullshit in that sense. And not just that, Juan, you asked me earlier today how long my delay would be. Because of this, I can't spend for another 5 days. I was told Monday, regarding what we're talking about earlier today, not related to this. But anyways, it's total bullshit, because why should I get taxed on money that was stolen from me without my knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
The
system's corrupt.
It is.
And on that note, before we close it out, I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity, if you have any final words, anything to add before we close it off.
Shit, I'll finish it up. Char Davidson, you are top G. Boy the dip. You need to change your profile to Boy the drip. Crypto crazy. I love the hat. Juan, I love the book. Caption. Char Davidson, you have not affirmed that you are top G. What the hell is going on?
Thanks, my man. I appreciate you. I got no parting words. It's been a long day. There's always another fun day ahead of us tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to it, honestly. There's a lot of good things happening in the market. So I'm really happy to see a good price action and good trades coming through.
I appreciate you joining us, Chart, taking time out of your day. I really do. Juan, what about yourself?
I would say pay attention, keep your ears to the market, like pay attention to the fear. When they always say, when it's fearful, it's time to buy. And that's where I think that's what I'm waiting for. And I hope you guys, not financial advice, when you hear the fear, start buying.
Good advice.
And get a TCT prop account. No, honestly, if you can use a prop firm to trade, that, and Juan will confirm, that is by far the best one. Juan, tell them about them actually crediting you back for the trades you would have otherwise made. I'll let that.
I don't think there's a platform for it right now, but when we get there, we could definitely discuss it.
Fair enough.
We'll do a show on that one for sure. It's an interesting space, and a lot more people need to know about it, and we'll go over that.
All right, maybe sometime in the future, soon enough. All right, thanks, lads.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Right. Thanks, everyone, for being here, and hopefully we see you all next week, same time. So,
please like the video, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot. Help support our new crypto education and information journey.
Excellent. All right, we're gonna roll credits here.
Bye.
Bye.